Now, I'd go as far as saying this movement we're going to go through today is essential if you're training handstands, calisthenics, press handstands, functional strength, or you basically just want to become strong, mobile, and have really healthy shoulders. And the really cool thing is it can be scaled or targeted to the individual depending on what they need to work on and their current level. So if you're working on your front lever and you want to be able to get front lever straight body pulls, then you can just focus on that first section as long as you have the prerequisites and the strength to pull up with straight arms. Or if you're specifically targeting shoulder mobility, you can just focus on things like the German hang, first with toe assist in that position, slowly increasing the range of motion. You can increase the intensity by going into full hangs, lifting the toes off the floor. Or you could use it as an entry to target specific positions like back levers, but it's just going to give you fantastic straight arm conditioning and strength, which is often an untrained area, and that's one of the reasons it's so good. So let's jump in with some easier variations. I'm going to show them on different apparatus as well, because you might have different bars or rings. My number one choice would always be rings, just because they're going to allow your happy body position. So basically you can make them wider, you can make them narrower, you can rotate them as needed in each position to suit your current body type, mobility and level, and then we can raise them up and down to achieve different things. But don't forget, if you're training on a bar like this, you're not just limited by this fixed bar. The beauty of having the rack is that I can put a barbell across here, which means I can slowly increase and decrease the height to make things easier or harder or set up for the specific skill I'm working towards. So number one, we just need to do a little bit of a test. We want to see whether you can do a front lever pull yourself upside down. Now that can be done on the bar like so. So I'm in this position here. Now this is probably the harder variation because the bar is going to get in the way. But as I pull up with straight arms, I take myself upside down. Now I see the bar's in the way. I have to put the legs through to get to my inverted hang position. Now the inverted hang just means that I'm not doing anything to hold the position apart from my grip because I'm balanced in the middle. If I do the same thing on the rings, that allows me to go straight up and now the bar's not here and I can just pull from this position here, ideally with straight arms into that position and exit back out again. Now most people aren't going to be able to pull up with straight arms to start with, especially if they haven't really trained this before. So the other way to get into that inverted position is to use bent arms. So you're basically doing a bit of a partial range pull up, like so, and then I drop the hips and bring the feet up. Exactly the same on the rings. And even if I have the rings at this height, I'm basically that bent arm position now. I'm just going to straighten the arms as I bring the hips up and the shoulders down and go into that inverted position. And then once we're upside down, we have two directions we can go in. We can come back to our feet, back the way we went up, or we can go backwards over towards the German hang. Now on the bar variation, you need to get comfortable or have an option that if you get stuck in this German hang position, that you can just let go and land on your feet. Now you should be safe to do that as long as your feet are pointing down, but obviously the higher the bar is, the more riskier that is. That's the beauty with the rings, is that I can go from that German hang position here and I can have the rings at a height so I can actually just walk out of it. And that's where the barbell could come in. If you don't have the luxury of the rings, setting up a lower bar will allow you to have a safer start and stop position. I can also use the floor to help me to get in and out of the position. So to get up, I can use a little bit of bent arms, but I can also kick off that foot, bring the feet through, and now when I go to the German hang, look, I can touch toes, I can even come down, put knees on the floor and hold that position where I'm not using all of my body weight, and then I can just walk out of the position. Just be a little bit careful if these J hooks aren't that good, that when you get in and out of the position, the bar's going to move around and you potentially could pull it off. I've never seen it happen, but just bear that in mind. You could also just tie a band or a strap around there to stop the bar from moving. Now, if you do have one of these bar variations, the beauty of this is that we can flip it over. I can do that without knocking anything into different positions, which will allow then me to play with different bar heights. So now I've got a bar height like so, where I can pull upside down, go through just like that barbell, and then come down, and if needed, walk out of the position. That also gives me the ability to use that toe assist. So initially, the first three positions we want to be focusing on from a static or safety home positions is the hang. So this passive hang position, ideally we should be able to hold here for 60 to 90 seconds. We should be able to go into elevation depression. So come up to like an active hang and go back down to a passive hang with the arms staying straight. And then ideally we should be able to retract, depress the shoulder blades into this retracted position. So it's like this, so pulling the shoulder blades down and together and hold there for time. Now that might take a little bit of conditioning to get that, but if you're newer to those hanging foundations, that's where you want to be spending your time. The other position we want to spend some time in is that German hang. It's easier to get into like so with the rings. I would turn them over and actually have palms facing outwards, that direction, not this way. This way puts lots of tension on the bicep and shoulder. Now that can be a good thing if you really want to condition those positions. But to start with, this way is going to be way more comfortable and not so aggressive. And then from here, I'm just going to hang in that position with toe assist. Now I can raise the rings up and down and have knee assist if I want to, but I basically just want to be increasing time in that position and get comfortable there. And then number 3 is that invert position we was just talking about. Get comfortable upside down hanging. Ideally, you'd be able to do it with shins against the bar there. Now that is a little bit harder because I'm not completely upside down, but ideally you'd be comfortable there. And if you have the luxury of a higher ceiling or a lower bar or rings, you can then go into that same position, but extend up to like candlestick or soldier, I think they call this, palms into your side, there, and back out. So those 3 positions, the hang, the inverted, and the German hang, and be able to exit and enter them with control is a necessity before you go on to that next level. Now the next level is nice and simple. We're just going to go inverted and then start to explore both sides. So come down the front lever side, come down the back lever side. And the 2 easiest ways to do that is to make the body into a tight ball or fold the body in half into like a pike position. Now, if possible, I would go with the tuck version, not the pike version. Now, the reason for that is the hip flexors really like to take over and get in control. So if you're very happy in this piked position, like so, you're going to get very comfortable here, be able to move in and out of positions. But what happens is the hip flexor here is so closed, is so powerful, so strong. When we want to start to open it up, it's really, really hard to do it because it doesn't want to let go. Where if we go into a tight tuck, it doesn't put so much intensity into those hip flexors. So like this type of position, and then when we start to open this position up, so to more open positions like so, it's much easier to do it because the hip flexor isn't fully locked on and trying to control everything. But both variations will work. So all I would do is make a tight ball, try going down towards back lever, try going down towards front lever. It's nice and simple on the rings because there's nothing in the way. I can go down a little bit. I can go the opposite direction like so, and then just slowly increase that range of motion. The eccentric is always going to be easier. So the down movement is always going to be easier. The concentric, the going back up, is always going to be harder. So you want to just test the water a little bit on both sides. Now, if we are doing it on the bar is going to get in the way a little bit. So you need to either like segment the movements. So just do this front lever part. So just down to here a little bit and back again, and then go to the back lever. Same thing, down and back up. Or you have to keep doing that. Or if you're more mobile and got longer arms than me, you'll be able to fit through and just be brushing your leg against the bar. But that's where the rings are a little bit easier again, because you don't have to worry about this bar getting in the way. And then it's down to you to increase the intensity and the range of motion as much as you feel comfortable with, or whichever is best to take you towards your goal. So like I said earlier, I can make it very intense by doing a front lever pull. Try something like a half lay where that's really hard because the hip is fully open, the heels is back towards the bar, and I'm just going to try and drive up with the torso and the legs, maintaining this open hip position and hit the thighs against the bar. So like this, and back down again. That's going to really assist the development of the front lever position and that straight arm pulling strength. But on the rings, you could make that exact movement even bigger and go all the way through to the back lever. I think I've got enough clearance. Let's find out. So here, all the way through to back lever there, and ideally back out again. Now you can hear by my voice is that's very, very intense. And if you have higher rings or higher bar, you can take that all the way to a 360 pull, which is an open body hanging position, all the way past through the front lever, the inverted position, pass through the back lever, down to the German hang, and back again. So that's the super advanced version, but you can have the beginner who's just conditioning the positions, getting used to pulling up with bent arms, then going to straight arms, coming down to a German hang with toe assist, coming back out, tight tuck, trying to come down with straight arms, all the way to this position. So the specifics, the detail is going to be down to you as an individual and what goals you're working towards. But hopefully this has given you a bit of an insight into why this skill or this drill, this movement is so important and so valuable. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, I have my memberships, supers, my app, and I offer online coaching. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated. I'll speak to you guys in the next one.